Steve here, and I am doing a review for Marvel's Agent Carter, Season 2, Episode 2, entitled A View in the Dark. So, like I said in the last video, I really did like that first episode. Can't really say the same for this second episode. With the first one, where it kind of hooks you in and it leaves you with questions, it sets up the season. This one was kind of slow. I mean, he was doing the same thing. He was continuing the investigation of this shady energy company, and it's messing with atomic energy, and the guy who runs it's all shady, and it's like this time it kind of just went at a snail's pace. It's like you weren't really finding anything out. I mean, they have they see the businessmen. The shady businessman, Calvin Chadwick's what his name is. You see him at one point. He goes to this restaurant, and this one guy tells him, "Oh, the gentlemen are meeting in the back." So he goes into a secret room, and you see is like this shady secret council, and they're telling this Chadwick guy, "Hey, we're gonna have to shut your business down." He's like, "No, you can't shut me down. I'm so close, right?" And one interesting thing about that, we see Ray Wise has returned. Ray Wise played a character in the first season called Hugh Jones, who's from the comic books. And the first season, they had him in one episode, and he's the head, this oil tycoon. He's head of Roxxon Oil, which is also from the comic books. And it's been mentioned in the movies, Roxxon Oil. And like I said, he's in season 1. He's this guy who kind of competes with Howard Stark for various various government projects and whatnot. And he was the guy who was like drinking in the afternoon. He's like, "Come on, agents, then if you want to investigate my employees, let's have a drink. It's like it's the afternoon." Meh. He was pretty funny in that one episode, and now they bring him back, and he was pretty funny in the scene that they had him in this one. He was talking about how he made money on the great stock crash. Like, he just had this no shit attitude about it, which I thought was funny. It's like, I'm glad they brought back Ray Wise. And then the rest of the episode, it's Agent Carter and Jarvis, and everyone's trying to find out about the lady who got turned into a block of ice again. And they're investigating the energy company. So she goes to the one scientist, Dr. Wilkes. He's like, "Hey, can you help me out?" He slips her this note where they would meet up at this jazz club later. And this one thug steals the dead lady's body, the one that's a block of ice, kills the 2 agents, takes off the bodies, further cover things up. Agent Carter meets with Dr. Wilkes at the jazz club. We learn a little more about Dr. Wilkes, and pretty cool background. He started out poor, and he worked his way up at the science lab, first as a janitor, and then he says, "Hey, I know some stuff," and then he ends up becoming a scientist. And then they go to the Griffin Observatory for some reason. I don't know why they went there. I mean, it's a famous Los Angeles landmark, but I don't understand why anything was there. But he shows her this film of this the energy company. At one time, they were making atomic bombs, and they had a test. The atomic bomb goes off, and it rips a hole in the time-space continuum, and that's where that dark matter energy thing came from. And it kind of just sucked everything into it, like these army guys and their trucks and whatnot. It was like, oh, okay, this will be interesting. And I think if you read the Marvel Cinematic Universe page, they were talking about how it's the Dark Force, which is also from the comic books. And, he showed her that, and then all of a sudden the one thug who killed the 2 agents that stole the body shows up with a few others, and they have a shootout. They give chase. Agent Carter and Dr. Wilkes take off. They evade, these thugs. At one point, they have to make a phone call so that they go into the sandwich shop. And the owner is like a racist, and he sees, this black guy with a white woman. He's asking, Agent Carter's like, "Are you all right, ma'am?" And she's like, "I'm fine." And Dr. Wilkes says something. He's like, "Be quiet, boy." It's kind of like, I guess that's the theme of this season. Last year we dealt with sexism in the 1940s. Now we're going to deal with racism. Okay, that should be interesting. Like I said, I think the Dr. Wilkes character is pretty interesting, especially how he's just brazenly hitting on Agent Carter. And it's like you don't want to be a racist. You're like, well, this is the 1940s in Los Angeles. Were they segregated or not? I mean, he's got some balls. But like I said, who cares? It's 2016. I don't have a problem with with that. And like I said, the character is pretty cool. I could see why she'd hook up with him. And one point, they're hiding in a phone booth, and they think the thugs are about to get them, so they pretend to be a couple making out. And then later on, they go back to the energy company to get the dark matter thing, and more thugs, and Carter's beating them up. And then the wife, the owner, shows up. The actress. She pulls a gun on Wilkes, and he's like, "Give me the energy." And he's like, "No." And they put it in like an hourglass thing for some reason, and then they drop it, and it creates this whole dark explosion thing, and half the building's gone, and so is Wilkes. We see later the actress woman, Whitney Frost, once again another character from the comic book. She's got this crack in her head, and it's like the black energy thing. So it's like, well, that should be interesting. But all around, it's just, I don't know. I just thought this particular episode was kind of boring. And that's all I got to say about this episode. We'll see how episode 3 is.